remember there was one time when I was getting made up into a zombie mermaid. I think, and I can't remember if this was planned for or not because this has been 15-ish or so years ago. The effects artist, I don't know if he brought a bag of trash on purpose or if he accidentally left the stuff that he had intended at home, but he had like this piece of a bucket which he dremeled and turned into a rib bone, and then there was like this piece of a grocery bag which he took a heat gun to and turned into like creepy skin. It just all really came together.
Yo, we rolling deep, let's dive into the fray. Hit that play button, we review every bite. From horror flicks that give you chills at night to games that thrill, yeah, we get it right. Remember that, step back, hold tight. We'll dissect every scare, keep the vibe right. Remember that, we're here to expose the thrills, the chills where the dark wind blows. From pixels on screens to the sound that glows. Join us forever, that's how the story goes.
Okay, guys, tonight we have a real treat. We are joined by Miss Mel Heflin. Now, she has over 122 credits on IMDB. Now, Mel is not an actress. She is a full-blown creative powerhouse. She's an indie horror icon, a producer, author, model, audiobook narrator, singer, makeup effects artist, and most importantly, a dedicated mother who balances creativity, career, and family with unstoppable passion. Now, from cult favorite horror films and psychological thrillers to intense dramatic performances, Mel has built a reputation as one of the hardest working and most versatile talents in independent cinema. Known for her fearless performances and deep emotional range, she has become a beloved scream queen of the indie horror scene and earning the respect of filmmakers and fans alike. Mel, welcome and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys so much. That was so sweet.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure.
Well done, Corky.
Yeah, thank you.
Shoot,
I didn't mess
man,
up
that
it like
was
5
awesome.
times. I'm proud of myself. Yeah. Well, it is awesome to meet you, Mel, and I have been nervous all day. I'm not ashamed to say that, but I guess I'll just get everything started. And I've listened to several podcasts with you throughout this past week trying to get ready for this, and I know you've been asked this question 50,000 times. But
I know the one.
the first question I'm going to ask is, how did you get started in independent horror?
Okay, well, I started as a model when I was 14 years old, and I did a lot of that. I modeled constantly, and one of the friends that I made through modeling when I was 19 years old said, "Hey, come on, audition for this horror movie. We need somebody." And I gave the audition my all, and surprisingly, I got the part. That movie's name was Scarlet Rain, and I fell in love with the process. And the fact they were like, "Yeah, stranger, come sleep on our couch and eat our food." And I'm like, this is great. I'm making new friends and enjoying good food, and I have some place to like camp out with all these new creative people. I just had a blast with it, and I decided to make my entire life about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. One thing that what we do on this podcast is we review horror movies, and we get on here and joke around and have a good time, and just basically me and Daniel are the two old guys of the group, and we go down a lot of the old horror movies from our childhood and stuff like that, and we mix in some new stuff too. So to be able to interview someone that's actually in the business is just, one of the dreams of mine, because, it's hard to find people that actually knows the in and outs of the business. So one of my main questions is, and I'll just jump right into it. How do you prepare for a death scene? Like when you're getting killed and stuff like that, how do you prepare for that? Do they give
Oh
you
my
a
gosh.
script that says, "Hey, I'm getting my head cut off today"? How does it work?
Okay, so normally I have the script months ahead of time, and I pretty much know what's going to happen to me. And there's really, unfortunately, not a whole bunch of new ways for me to die these days. So even with that, I feel like each time is a little bit different, because when I actually am on set and I know it's my death day, And, we've got the call sheet. We know which scenes we're doing that day. And when I'm prepping for everything leading up to it, the fear, it's really hard to keep the emotional level. So between one shot, let's say I'm running down a hallway and I'm freaked out and I'm scared and I'm breathing heavily and you can see the tears hanging in my eyes. And then let's say the next shot is me running into the next room where I actually die. The transition from one room to the next needs a lighting setup. They're going to stop everything, move the lights from the hallway into the room where I'm going to die, and move everything around. And I have to completely get out of the way, depending on how much room there is, because I don't want to get tripped over. And a lot of the times, the best thing that you can possibly do on set is get out of the way. And it requires actual work because you want to help or do something to prepare. But you have to get out of the way, but you have to keep your emotional level, which is utterly exhausting. Like if you're actively crying, you need to keep crying because to get back to that emotional level, it takes a lot more work and it can really take you out of it. So you have to go somewhere and cry and keep yourself in that moment for at least 15 minutes and try to be in that zone while they set up. And usually when it comes time for like a scream or something, I will ask the director, I can give a pretty powerful scream, so I need you to give me between 1 and 10. And whenever they don't say 10, which they usually never do, I'm like, okay. Yeah, I absolutely love it. All the effects. Oh gosh, whenever you die, you have to lay on the floor. Like you're dead on the floor. You have to lay there while they're moving things and setting different things up and prepping other things, and that becomes another actual job because let's say you've got a prosthetic on you somewhere. If you get up and go pee or do whatever sort of human things, you just have to push it out of your brain for a little while because then, you're going to move blood throughout the house. There's potentially blood pooling underneath you. You're going to track it somewhere. The prosthetic will start to peel the more your body moves. So it's another strange thing that you wouldn't think about laying there, being in the way, but you're actually working. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's things you wouldn't think about.
I bet that's mentally exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very tiring mentally.
I've never really thought about it like that. We've seen a lot of character deaths in all the movies we've watched. We recently ranked our favorite kills from last year. Never did I once think about, okay, how many takes did these guys end up having to lay on the
Usually
ground?
only one.
You would hope, right? Have you
Usually,
had,
once blood goes on you, that's like it.
Yeah, it'd be hard to clean off, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be so. Have you had issues like that where, like, you're having to be emotional, like you're talking about crying, and
Oh
like,
yeah.
like the director's like, I just can't. The scene's not right. They are like,
No.
what's the most amount
Thankfully.
what's the most amount of takes where you've had to like just go and sit there for 15 minutes and like get back in that emotional mindset? Because I feel like that would be tough. I can't fake
So
cry. I don't know how I'd do that anyways. Like pour water in my eyes
I
or
have all
something.
kinds of tips for you. I have
Like I
all
could
kinds of tips. I am
th-
fully equipped
think about my
to walk you
childhood
through this.
dog. Maybe I could do
Oh, no.
that.
Actually, I study Stanislavski, which is a type of method and they say in one of the Stanislavski methods that you can pull from anything emotional such as that way, but I've also done a little bit of research on different types of tears. So if you put different types of tears, let's say onion tears, let's say heartbreak tears, let's say grief tears, and mad tears. If you put all of those under a microscope, they will actually show different patterns.
Are you
Wow.
serious?
And I find that I'm completely serious.
Wow.
So I do my best to think in the character's perspective. So the character's fear becomes my fear. And fear tear, like I want it to look as real as possible. And I want every expression on my face. And even the types of tears that I cry and the directions that they go due to their molecular level. And I know this sounds absolutely insane, but I really think there's something to this because ever since I've switched to doing this way, people are just sort of like, wow, how did you do that? And I've noticed the difference in the way that directors respond to the way that I react to these scenes.
Wow, that's
That's
deep, man. I never
that's
thought
so
of that.
interesting.
Yeah, it
Now,
is.
see
I've done a
now,
few movies. I've been doing this a while, so
Yeah, no
I've
doubt.
definitely had my time to study.
yes. So in the movie that I watched from her, her character was like a super smart, like this is like probably the smartest person in the movie. So I would say it makes sense why they casted you in that role. I'm about to start calling you the professor.
I actually got to choose my major, my name and my major in that.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that was awesome. But that's so interesting. I've never thought about it like that at all. I'll have to look it up and just like see if I can make myself cry and just trick people. Is he
I have
sad?
all sorts of tips to usually before I go into any sort of emotional scenes like that, if I'm just trying to like be on the verge of getting ready, you just yawn a couple of times. So like,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, next time I
it'll
get
get it to just get a little glassy, and then if you yawn a couple more times, they'll just sort of hang there before you like go into all the emotional stuff.
Look,
Yeah.
our guys, we got her to tear up on the show, man. We got her to
There we
I
tear
go.
up.
love it.
There we go.
I'm going to adopt this method when I try to ask my wife to buy the next
Yes.
Resident Evil game next month. And be like, I'm some
Yeah.
fake tears. Like, I need this game. It's important. That's awesome.
Mel, can you walk us through how do you get a role in a movie like that? I mean, can you walk us through the process of getting a role in a movie? But maybe we
It
want to
might
be
be a little
accurate.
bit
Maybe we want to try
different
it
for
out one of
me.
these days. You know?
So my best thing to tell you guys, if you guys are interested in getting roles, there's a whole bunch of different ways. I would maybe find some local movies or there's a whole bunch of different ways. Find movies that you really, really, really like. Like you guys mentioned Night of the Dead Sorority Babes and Return of the Porn Zombies. I highly recommend Aquastar. So I would go to the Aquastar Productions Facebook group, and every now and then they will do a casting call for extras. They will, constantly need, people to show up and do background stuff. And that's a really good way to network and rub elbows and just sort of be in the element and see how these things work. Sometimes they do casting calls for zombies. That's really fun, and you can
Dude,
just do
that's
a
what
little
I'm talking
zombie
that would
about.
be
class.
Yeah.
sick. That would be so awesome.
Oh, that would be a
And
dream
those
come
zombies
true,
in
man.
that movie last night looked awesome too. That was awesome.
Yeah,
makeup.
yeah, they do a
Wow.
great job. Beth does great with effects. So you could travel out there and, whenever they, need zombies or extras, you could travel out there, get a hotel or whatever, make a little trip of it, and then go on set and do your thing and meet everybody and shake hands and add everybody to Facebook and network and all those great, wonderful things. And just meet everybody and ask when the next one is, ask, who else needs whatnot. And you find people that you vibe with and you click with. And then, a lot of times they'll invite you to the next one.
That's awesome.
That's one of the many ways.
What's it like when you have to go to the set to start filming? What's a day of filming like? Do you start early, late at night, or does it depend on the
Oh
scene?
gosh, that's all kinds of different ways. There's some movies like I did Pig Shit last February, and that movie he
What
prepped us
is the
ahead of
plot to
time.
that movie?
That one's really fun. You guys are gonna like that one.
I'm gonna look this up. I want to watch this now.
Yes.
I don't think it's on Tubi, or I would have watched that one.
No, it's not out yet. It's not out yet.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
He prepared us.
I had all of those movies pulled up on IMDb, and
Awesome.
that was one of the ones that caught my interest. I was like, oh, okay, I need to check this one out.
It is a Southern fried slasher. And the director, Bobby Knight Jr., prepared us
Nice.
ahead of time. He said these are going to be night shoots. A lot of the shooting is outside at night. So you have to film that outside at night, or realistically, you could film during the day. But if you've got cloud coverage or sunspots or all these different things, you can put like a blue coloring over color grading, but it just doesn't work. It's much better to film night for night instead of day for night. In my opinion, I know people will argue with me. If you can adjust yourself to that schedule, the last movie I was on was mostly night shoots. We would head to set and start working, I believe around like 7:30, and we would wrap at like 4 a.m.
Wow.
Oh my
And
god.
those are, yeah, they're long
Yeah.
nights a lot of the time. But then there's a lot of movies that take place fully during the day, and the call time will be sometimes 6 a.m., sometimes 8 a.m. And a lot of these shoots are 12 hours. So they're
Wow.
they're
Yeah,
pretty long days.
that would be tough. By the end of that, I would be like so taxed out from like talking. If I had like a lot of lines, I think by the end of it, I'd be like, "Listen, you guys got the best you got out
It,
of me. I'm done."
it takes days to readjust.
Right. Do you enjoy like going back and watching like movies that you've been in? I feel like, like we've been doing this
Yeah.
podcast for a year. When I go back and look at episodes and I listen to myself talk, I have to turn it off because it's just strange to hear myself talk. But, to be in a movie, I don't know how that would feel. Like, I don't know if I would sit there and like
It feels like
overanalyze my
opening a
actions.
yearbook.
Is
Really?
it? That's awesome.
hmm Like I all these memories just flood me back of like, oh yeah, right after we filmed this scene, we all made Jello together or something crazy like that. Or
That's
the
good.
night we did this, we found a stray dog that just wandered into the Airbnb that we were um we were at, and then we called the local shelter and they came and got it, and they actually found the owners. And we have all kinds of little, I can watch these movies and all these
Well,
things.
that's cool. That's cool you're able to do that. I know like a lot of actors and actresses, when they get asked like, "Oh, have you seen your movie?" They're like, "No," and I'm always like, I feel like, I would want to at least watch it. So I think that's cool that you
That's
go
so
back and
wild to me that they don't
yeah,
watch it.
yeah, like you go back and you tie that to some special memory about filming, and it sounds like you've made a lot of friends too on these sets, which is also makes just work in general so much easier. Like I work with Daniel actually, so I enjoy like going to work and seeing him. So I'm guessing you've made a ton of friends, all the movies you've been in.
I consider everybody I work with my friend. I know some people think that that's pretty crazy, but
That's
I
awesome.
I like working with my friends.
Mel, you and
Yeah.
Cade
Well,
have
that was
something in
a-
common. Cade just got Cade. Yeah, he's having internet problems. Cade just got back from Japan, and you used to live in Japan.
I lived in
so-
Japan for 4 years. Nihongo go
Wow.
hanashimasu ka?
Oh, now what's
yeah.
up?
I have no idea. I would need Google Translate.
Oh.
Wow.
So,
I said, do you speak Japanese?
no, I do not. I can only say like thank you, like very much, like because that's what I said constantly as I was getting food. I went over there for 2 weeks for work, completely alone, and it was one of like the coolest experiences. I don't know if you can see all the stuff behind me, but I've grown up like a huge like anime and manga fan, and so like when I went over there, it was like a dream of mine. But
Oh,
I was
wow,
in
that's awesome.
I was in a small town very close to Nagoya called Kawana, and
Okay.
I was the only American in that town, and it felt so surreal because I grew up in this area. It's a small town, so it was different, like being the only American in an area, and everybody, like most people spoke a little bit of English, but for the most part, I was just like Google Translate, like please give me food, whatever this is, I will eat. It was awesome. I love Tokyo too. It was amazing.
Yeah, Japan is on my bucket list, man. I want to visit that place so bad.
You definitely should. It's a great experience. 4 years,
I'd
that's
like
crazy.
to go back for the Shark Festival. Maybe one day I'll do a shark movie.
Oh, dang,
Yes,
that would be
you
nice.
have to do a shark movie.
That'd be cool.
I've
That
been
has to-
asking directors that I love so much, like, please put me in a shark movie. And the next thing you know, they're making another shark movie without me.
Come on,
So,
guys,
do you
put her in a
speak-
shark movie, man.
Do you speak like fluent Japanese or
I did
no?
while I lived there. I'm starting to slowly forget it because I don't use it.
Wow,
I
that's
actually got to
incredible.
translate some stuff the other day for a director for a little Easter egg, though. So I was typing all this Japanese, and I'm like, I still remember this.
That's
killer,
awesome.
man.
Yeah,
That
like,
is
I
cool.
think I learned how to count. I learned how to count to 10 in Japanese because a lot of the people that come to work or we work at, there's a lot of Japanese contractors. So like I was always reading off numbers for them in Japanese, and that was just
Mhm.
that's about it. But that's really cool. That's awesome.
You could probably count a lot higher than that. For instance, 60 is Rokuju.
Right. It's like the pattern. Like I haven't gotten that down yet because it's always like a decimal number I'm reading. I'm reading like 0.35 something. So like I only learned like to 10 because that's all I ever had to do. Super
Gotcha.
easy, but that's sick.
Mel, I know you've been asked this question a million times, but what is your favorite movie you've done? And I know you usually say it's the one I'm working on now, but Other than, yeah, I've done my homework on you. Other than that, what would be your favorite movie?
I mean, I used to say Mrs. Claus for the longest time, and I really do still love that one. I love a Christmas slasher. But, Return of the Corn Zombies kind of won me that award. I was nominated several times before I actually won something for it, and I got Best
See,
Villain. And I'm like,
that's how well I can pick movies, because I watched Mrs. Claus, or Claus, however you say that. But let me tell you something. The scene in there where you committed those murders, dude, that was epic, bro. That was awesome. And then, guys, you guys didn't watch that movie, you need to go watch that, because what she done to this old girl on that bed was right there with Tina on Nightmare on Elm Street. It truly
dude.
Oh,
was.
really?
Sweet.
And then, before we started the show, I told you I had some sound bites recorded. One of the sound bites I recorded was your death scene in that movie. And I was going to ask you, how did they do that scene?
oh my
When
gosh, I love telling this.
you hang yourself, yeah.
Yes. So I believe her name, the effects artist, was Heather Buchanan. And she was so sweet. I believe she actually went on to do some really, really, really big time stuff. So they took me to, I want to say like Lowe's or Home Depot or something, and they got a harness and they went and see how well I fit in it. And if you go back and watch, you'll see that my legs don't go straight down. And I'm kind of a little muscly, so it was like forcing them apart though, the way that the harness was hanging.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I was slowly spinning around, and they kind of had a device for that, but it still like was slowly spinning around. So part of my kicking was like body twitching, but
Right.
part to keep me facing camera. And it was really hard because my legs just wanted to like hang this way. And I had a podcaster that I was speaking with recently. They said that it's really rare for a hanging scene to show the full body, but when they do, they're always like that. So that makes perfect
Well,
sense.
I can tell you what I thought about the scene, and this is what I love doing, is breaking down horror movie scenes like this. I noticed your legs too, 100%. And what it made me think about is you were hanging there and your legs looked kind of awkward, but in my mind, that would have been your body reacting to being hanged, like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Kind of course, you're not just going to go limp and just, swing, but your body would react and fight back to that for a period of time. And to me, that's what it looked like, was your body fighting against the hanging, or, the process of death. And, dude, I thought it was cool. That was one of the best scenes that I've seen. I challenge all you guys to go back and watch that murder scene
Yeah.
she done. It was good, man.
Which movie is this from again, so I can take note?
Mrs. Claus, is that right? Am I saying that
Okay.
right, or Claus,
Claus.
Mrs.
whatever?
Claus,
Claus.
or the original title of the movie was Stirring. And if you can find a copy of the original Stirring, it tells a bit more of the story, because some of my stuff got cut for being too graphic when it got picked up for distribution. So the Mrs. Claus version has a little bit less than the Stirring version.
Okay.
That was and you said you won awards for that movie? Or was
No,
it
I
the
just that
Corn
was
Zombies?
always my favorite until I won an award for Corn Zombies.
Corn Zombies.
Nice.
The final scene in Corn Zombies, when you told that, and that was the next clip I had, was when you told the girl, "I'll make sure your family." Is that what you said? "I'll make sure you're part of the family," or something like that. Then the zombies.
Oh, okay. I'll make sure your little sister is part of the family, and she'll
something like
get the
that.
first plate at every family dinner.
Yeah. Then the zombies grab you and they start taking you out. That was the second sound clip. I was going to see if you could remember what that was. But again, that was an epic scene in that movie. And because I was a zombie fan before it was cool to be zombie fans.
Yeah.
I come up, watching movies like Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, the original Night of the Living Dead, and Return of the Living Dead, and all that good stuff. So when I seen you had done a zombie movie, I was like, boom, I got to go here. So
I did quite a few zombie movies. I don't think that any of them had come out before before I did Return of the Corn Zombies. Let me go back through my IMDb, but I remember doing like 5 or 6. I did one called Apocalypse. They Walk. Quite a few of them. There's They Walk. That was the second movie ever listed in my IMDb, but I don't think that you can even find copies of it anymore. There were a whole bunch of movies that I did that are never even listed on IMDb. And I did a movie called Zomboner 2. That one was really fun, and I'm really sad that one never came out. I had some cool scenes in
Yeah,
that.
how does that work? I've heard you speak a lot about you've made so many. I think you said you've made like 99 movies that's they never came out. I don't know if
That's
that's right.
probably an accurate number.
How does that work? I mean, you go shoot a movie, then it never comes out. Is that how it works? I mean,
Yeah, pretty much. Even the highest budget movie that I've ever worked on, a movie called The Trip, that was actually another zombie movie that I did. Uh, you know, I can't even fathom the amount of money that these people spend. And they bring me in, they pay me, they feed me, they treat us all really nice. They spend all this money on effects and camera stuff and locations and grips building things, and they spend, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars.
wow.
And they they film everything. We go home, there's a trailer, there's a website, and then we never hear anything again.
That's
And
really strange.
that it happens sometimes. And it's gotten really, really weird. Every now and then I'll only have like a photo or two while I was on set. And there was one very recently. I have these files in my computer titled with the movie, and then I have one listed like scrapped. And they've got the name of the movie, and then whatever I've got from it. Sometimes it's just a couple of photos. And for a little bit, I was reposting these photos, asking if anybody heard anything about them, if anybody knew what happened to it, because sometimes they're 10, 15 years ago. And somebody asked me to stop trying to gain clout. There was no movie called that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm trying to find out what happened to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you were in
That's
it.
what we would
You
call
know
a
about it.
hater around here. you
Yeah,
know.
it's so strange that people would think that I would try to claim that I did something that I didn't, when I have enough like I don't need to do that. I was just trying
Yeah.
to find, because my friend did really cool makeup for me. I got her hired on as makeup artist. I remember that much. I can't remember the director's name, but she did all this really cool corpse makeup, and we were joking that I was a sandwich because I was wrapped in plastic in a freezer. I was a dead body. And yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy.
That-
So,
It was really fun looking.
when something like that happens, has there been an instance where like you reach out, you try to dig like what happened? Because I would imagine if you have those 12-hour days on set, and you put your heart and soul into a role, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't come out, or have you had an instance where you're like, hey guys, like, can I at least watch the film, or have you had any conversations like that?
Yeah, like with Zomboner 2, a friend of mine, we became friends making this movie. He knew of me as an actress, and then we worked together and we became friends this way. And I have been reaching out over the last 6 years, 7 years since I last spoke with him about it. And I'll ask him, hey, can I have my footage at least? Because I have some really crazy footage in that. I would love
Yeah.
to post a little tribute or
Mhm.
put a little something in my reel, just use it in some way if you're never going to release this stuff.
Right.
And he'll come back with me and he'll say, oh no, it's still going to get done. And it's like, this has
No.
been ongoing for almost
Like,
10 years. Like,
yeah, you could release that on Instagram Reels or TikTok or something. You could
Something.
definitely
At least put it
utilize
to
that.
some use. Yeah.
yeah, it's a little disheartening because that's sort of the on par. The directors don't want to release the footage, and they just want to hang on to it in case they ever feel it. And it's like, at this point, there's only 2 scenes left to be filmed on that one. 2 scenes, like the ending and one other. I'm not really sure, but
That's not fair.
everybody's aged 10 years and very, like, I don't like we're older.
Sounds
don't
like
look the
Stranger
same
Things
anymore.
there,
It's like, I was literally about to say,
Yes.
it's like Stranger Things.
Very much so. Like, it's not going to work anymore. Just give us our footage and let us use it for something. I have love for the guy, but it just waited too long. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
I hope you can get at least some of the footage from that. I hope that happens for
I
you.
know fans would love to see it.
Oh, I'm sure.
no doubt.
100%.
Mel, I'm looking over some of the stuff you've been credited for on IMDb, And I've got questions because, like I
Sure.
said, if you're just normal guys like us, we love horror movies, we love movies, and that's why we do this podcast every week. But I always see when the credits roll, there's stuff that I'm like, what the freak is that? So I noticed you've got,
Throw it at me.
I know you've got, it says 11 producer credits.
Hmm.
What does a producer do?
A producer can do all kinds of things. That's one of the big questions that I had even up until recently, because even while I was being credited as a producer, sometimes I'm like, I don't understand. I don't feel like I did anything. One, one of them, and I won't name which one, I made the people finish the film. They were taking their sweet old time, and I was sort of, come on, when are we filming next? Come on, we got to get it. And they considered me a producer from that.
Cracking that
Another
whip.
one,
Nice.
I did. I had to, or
Good
the movie was never going to get finished.
Good for you, Mel.
I can say with
That's
certainty.
right.
Another one, I produced locations for us to film at. Another one, I produced locations similar.
So that would be
and
like you're
talent.
finding the places that you would film the scenes at, stuff like it'd be your job
Yes.
to find where you want to film the scenes at. Okay.
And I'm also producing Big Boobenstein, and it's interesting there. Like, I'm researching ways to make things work.
You see how
I'm-
that big smile on Cade's face there? It just cracks me up.
I'm producing these little things.
That's
I
so
am
awesome. I love
producing-
it.
I'm making a tombstone. That's my
Yeah, you
tombstone.
told us about
from
that. How big is the tombstone? Did you show that to
So
us?
this is 1/8. It's
Oh, yeah,
printing
yeah, yeah.
in 1/8.
Nice.
That's gonna be
and-
cool.
What infill are you printing at? Is that like 50% or 25%, or is that 100%?
This guy.
Oh gosh, this is like 500% at least.
Oh, you got that thing
I haven't
solid. Nice. Good. Use all the
Yes.
filament. Nice. That's awesome.
I have so many rolls of filament ready to go.
That's sick. Yeah. I love 3D printing. I think it's so cool. If I was in movies like that, I'd be making stuff for movies all the time. Like, let me do it, guys. But it does sound like a producer is like it can cover like many different avenues.
I have actors' wardrobe. This isn't even my wardrobe. I had a specific vision for that character. I just sort of
Is
like
that a nurse?
yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I just
Yeah.
sort
Cool.
of make some of the things happen behind the scenes. That's really what a producer does.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
a producer could be someone who provides an Airbnb for everybody to sleep at, or
Huh.
camera
Nice.
equipment. They just produce things.
They like
Ye-
run. Now, what's the difference in a producer and a director then? I thought the director kind of ran the show.
The director does run the show. The director sort of chooses which person is going to do what and makes sure all their little ducks are in a row and makes sure that everybody stays on task. So actually, just as important, in my opinion, as the director is the first AD. The first AD is pretty much the person that I talk to the most, because the director has so much going on, making sure everybody's doing all their things, and the actors will want to come to the director. Unless it's a character question, we should go to the first AD, who that would be like, oh, hey, my flight gets in at this time. Make sure somebody knows that, and they sort of coordinate everything that's not like incredibly pressing for a director question, first AD question. Kind of
That's
cool.
very interesting. No, that makes sense.
It's more complicated than I thought it would be. I thought everybody just showed up and started running lines and started filming each other. It's way
It
more
depends on the
complicated.
set.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of my questions. Was as far as like when you film, are you filming in sequential order from start to finish, or are
I
you
wish.
filming?
That would make it so much easier.
So you're filming in different. It's like broke up. Sometimes you do the
Yes.
last scene first or something.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And that entirely depends on a couple of different things. Let's say you have a B-list celebrity coming in. If there's a B-list celebrity coming in, you sort of prioritize everything around whatever those dates are, and you film all of their stuff in one day. So that way they can get in, get out, and you don't have to worry about it. Everything else usually is based around locations. If you have very minimal locations, it's a lot easier. If they're all very localized, it's a lot easier. But there will be times where it'll bounce around back and forth in the script based around one character's apartment to, I don't know, a field to the character's workplace, and it bounces around all over the script. And first they'll film this apartment, then they'll film the workplace, then they'll film the field, sort of thing. And it goes all over the place in the script really, really fast. And it'll be, we're doing scene 21, and then we're doing scene 67, and then we're doing scene 43, and then we're doing scene 87 that day. And it's like,
Okay.
Wow.
So
That's
as far as
that's a
like,
different perspective
so as far as the
that I have about
locations,
that. It's
then,
crazy.
for one film, how many different, I guess maybe, how big are the locations? Is it all set in one town when you're filming, to make it easier, or are you jumping around, several miles away, for another scene? Kind of, how does that work out?
it entirely depends on the film. There has been times where I've been flown to one location, we filmed everything we needed at that location, and then we flew to a different location and filmed everything we needed at that location. There has been times where it's in a single Airbnb or a warehouse, and they will just build different looking things, or studio, where this is going to be the cathedral hall. And then the next day they tear all that down and now it's a gypsy parlor. And then the next day they tear all that down and now it's an office. So those are the ways that I prefer to film, but I never call the shots on these things. I guess the most typical way is, the way that I really like as well is they will have an Airbnb, and we'll use that Airbnb as a couple of different locations in the script. And then we'll drive a couple miles away and use a single, like a field or fairground or something like that as multiple locations, just depending
Okay.
on where, which building we're in at the
Right.
moment, or which direction we're facing sometimes, even because another one of my friends who films really on the cheap, he'll film this direction, he'll film this direction, and it's two entirely different locations. And then he'll film this direction, and that's a third different location.
Oh,
And they
wow.
all look different enough.
Yeah,
And
okay.
we didn't have to pick up everything and move.
Right.
Right.
Well, I see you have one credit as for Stunts. Which movie was that?
Yes. I believe that was the pyro stunt. Is that family property?
I figured it was the Mrs. Claus scene. Why can't I say that?
It's okay.
I keep thinking of Klaus from Vampire Diaries. I mean,
So on the first movie that I worked on, Scarlet Rain, I met my friend Johnny Sullivan, who has some really cool credits, and he was teaching a Human Torch class, and I got to do. Actually, I think this movie claims it's out. I got to do a pyro stunt where I'm lit on fire, and
oh, wow.
it was under Johnny's supervision though, because he's awesome. And I got to get lit on fire for that.
Like total body or just your hair? What part was on fire?
The entire body, but just the back.
Wow, man.
Oh my
What
God.
was that?
So how do
I got to-
they do that? How do they set that
How do
up?
they do that?
Okay.
How do they tell you, Mel, just trust us?
So it's
Right.
gonna sound. I do trust him that much, but it was a thing of, oh gosh, it felt so silly. Before we went to full body, it was just our arm, and we had to pretend like our arm was on fire and like move it a certain way, and and then get it fake put out, and it felt really silly to do, but I took it very seriously. Like, as actors, we pretend. So pretending we're on fire, and then we did it a whole bunch of times to get the motions really smooth. Pretend our full body was on fire, do the motions, and then run to the spot, and then get covered in blankets, wet blankets.
Okay.
And we had to get powdered down because the heat transfer from the fire, you actually feel the heat and your sweat can boil. So you got to powder
Ooh.
down underneath a triple Nomex suit, and then you have the gloves on, and then you have the hood on, but you also have to condition your hair, any hair on your body. And then it's a whole process. It's been so long. This has been a decade ago. And then it's fully cotton clothes that go on top, and then they have a very special uh, concoction mixture that they put in certain areas on you where they want it to be lit, and then they light you up and you pretend like you're on fire, and then you run home, and then you've got two people, one on either end, with soaking wet wool blankets to overlap, and you just call out wherever you still feel heat.
That's awesome. I like how you use those terms, like you just said, you run home, and I heard you earlier say my death day. So I guess that's the day you're going to be killed in the movie. But
that's what I call it.
That's hilarious.
I keep going back, and I wish I would have told these guys about it before we done the show tonight. But I keep going back to that scene in Mrs. Claus.
There you go, Corky.
You stabbed this poor lady to death in a bed.
Break poor Kaylee. She's so sweet too.
Break that, guys. You got to go watch that scene.
She's sweet in real life.
Yeah, break that scene down to me, because I'm being real with you when I tell you that you done very good in that scene. Blood was going everywhere. It was just awesome.
Gosh,
so how did they set that up, and how did you guys go about filming that? What was your thoughts?
So the blood was the bed was pulled away from the wall, and I'm just gonna say whatever I remember. I remember there being a lot of people in that room. It was not that huge of a room, but it was pulled away from the wall, I guess, so that the camera could get behind it, or an extra set of hands. And I think there was a dummy in place of Kaylee. I think she was replaced with a dummy.
Oh, that had to be, because you was really stabbing, I could tell.
At one point, I was replaced with Billy Brannigan, who did some of the stabbing for me. And I can't remember why I was replaced.
How long ago was that?
Oh gosh, that was filmed, I want to say like maybe 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, it had to have been 2015, 2017. Oh gosh,
Yeah, I think it came
I
out
remember
in 2018.
we had to cut the phallus so that it would fit in Kaylee's mouth. Because obviously she's not going to have something this big down her throat for the whole scene.
Right. Yeah, that's
awesome.
It was a
epic scene. You guys done very well on that. It was an epic scene. And that's coming from a guy that loves horror movies, man. You guys done great on that.
So when you have a scene like that has a lot to it, and there's a lot going on, how long does it normally take to film a scene like that? A scene, that's in depth, that has a lot going on like that.
So, depending on how many cuts there are, and usually there's only like maybe 5 seconds that they use from each of these shots. Those are really easy, because you don't really have to keep the emotion for like a close-up stab, or there's a lot of things that it's just like a quick shot. You can just react for like 3 to 5 seconds, and it doesn't really need to be like this huge moment, or just blood spraying, stuff like that. They are so time consuming, and usually it takes almost a whole day to do just 1 or 2, just the death scenes, like a whole day, depending on how much is involved around it. But the more shots you see, like the really close up, like the stabbing, and then another angle of the stabbing, and then another angle of the stabbing, and then close ups on the face, those can take a couple of hours. And I know it doesn't feel that way when we're actually doing it, but then we look at the clock and we're like, oh my God, we're so tired. We're so hungry. How has it been 4 hours? Where did the time go?
And so you've got like several hours, 4 to 6 hours, sometimes even longer than that, just to get a few minutes of film, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's
wow.
It feels crazy.
That's so insane.
And so I guess the other question that I had about that was camera placement. You'll have a scene where somebody's talking, when it's like a close up of them, or maybe from the side. Then it'll go to who they're talking to, and it's just them. The camera, are there like 2 cameras going at the same time simultaneously, or
sometimes
are you filming like the whole scene one way, and then they'll switch the camera, and then you'll film the whole scene from the other angle? Or?
That's usually what they do, and these are usually
Okay.
broke up in different ways. Usually we'll do a wide shot. That way they capture everything, and we do an entire wide shot, the entire scene one time. And then they'll do a little bit closer, like a 2-shot of just the two main people talking. And then sometimes there will be little inserts of little things. Like if somebody gets handed like something in the scene, they'll do just that. And then a lot of times there'll be like a medium close on each person. And usually there is only one camera.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, that's cool.
Golly, bum.
So
it can
as far
take
as
like 2 to 3 hours for a short scene.
man, that's cool. So as far as like a movie start to finish, how long does the average movie take to film in days, I guess?
A lot of them are
You-
usually around 10 days.
10 days?
That's
I would have thought
yeah,
longer than that.
that's- it depends on the movie and it depends on the budget. In my opinion, not in my opinion, so the higher the budget, the more hands in the pot, the more things need to move, the more everything is going on. It just sort of takes longer. Now, in my opinion, you can see a bit of like, you can kind of tell what's going on, and there's nothing wrong with the micro budget indies. I love the micro budget indies; those are my bread and butter, and I love them. But sometimes you can get away with shooting an entire micro budget indie in 6 days, like the entire thing.
Wow.
That's
I
moving.
bet it's several.
That's moving.
Is it several like long days too? You like 12-hour days probably to do it in 6 days?
It depends on the crew. There's one crew, if they work a full 12 hours, they're really mad about it because they don't usually work for the full 12. Usually it's 8 to 9, and they're like,
Right.
we're done.
Right. That's a cool perspective.
Yeah. Mel, what's the movie you just got done filming? I noticed you seem to be very excited about that.
I really love that movie. It's called My Blade Is Your Salvation, and I was really attached to the character, and I was really sad the day that I wrapped because I got to know the team really well, and I was there for a full 10 days, and they still had a lot to film without me. And I had never played a character like her before, and just everybody was so sweet, and they announced that I was wrapped, and they handed me flowers, and I was just
Aw.
crying, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to leave you
That's
people
awesome.
behind. Like, my work here is done, and like we need to get it in the can, but I miss everybody like crazy. Tomorrow is their last day.
Oh,
for
so they're
this
still
filming block.
filming it. Okay.
They're still filming. I flew home Saturday. I
Yeah,
miss
I've
everybody
been.
like
Yeah, I've been.
crazy.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of the pictures you put up there. Yeah, can you tell us anything about it, or is it still big hush hush or anything like that?
So I have to be very careful with my words, so I'm going to be a little slow here.
Oh, don't get yourself in trouble.
I won't.
Yeah,
I won't. Don't
don't get
worry.
in trouble.
I play a St. Louis detective, and I play opposite the leading guy, and there is a serial killer on the loose.
Nice. Sounds like
It's a
good
giallo
job.
That's
film.
cool.
Do you have any idea
Sweet.
when it'll come out, or just you don't know yet?
I believe they said early next year.
Cool.
Okay.
You know, one thing I
Sweet.
wonder is a lot of your movies goes on the streaming service Tubi. That's where we watch it. How do you get a movie on Tubi, and what, because I got on
That's
there
above
one
my
day.
pay grade.
Yeah, I would get on there one day and I would see all your movies listed. Then I get on the next day, like some of them wouldn't be there anymore. I wonder how all
Oh
that
gosh,
works.
that makes me so crazy. I've always tried to keep, some people say, "Oh, you do movies. Where can I watch them?" And I've tried to keep like them all cohesive or whatever, but they always move around through the years.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime was where you always found
Right.
them for a while, and it's just hard to keep track.
Yeah, I
That's
saw
just
a couple of them
that's
on
just
Prime
streaming, I guess.
Video, and then I saw a bunch on Tubi. So like they've definitely got them at least on those two. Maybe one other platform. I'd have to double check. But I definitely want to check
Yeah,
out
we,
They move
My Blade
around
Is Your
though, and they lose
Salvation.
rights to them, and then they gain rights to them elsewhere. Like it's hard to keep it together.
That's
We
awesome.
all-
Mel, Daniel's an author. He writes books and stuff like that. And I noticed, did you write a children's book? Or are you still writing
I
a children's
did.
book?
I did. I have one of the proofs right here. I need to get more author copies for when I do another con.
That's awesome. And you also illustrated the whole book too, didn't you?
I have a degree in art.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
It's
Whoa.
not
That's
out
cool.
yet, or will it be coming out or anything?
It's on my
Is it?
link tree.
Cool.
Nice.
And it's got a bunch of little Easter eggs, like this is from Pig Shit.
That's
What else
hilarious.
we
That's
got here?
great.
I made the Ouija board from Ouija Slumber Party.
That's
I made
awesome.
this paddle from Blood Red Beach. There's a flamingo from Amityville Pool Toy Massacre. There's a bloody bone from Bloody Bones.
Bloody Bones. Now, that is a movie that I wanted to see, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
It's
Because
Appalachian horror.
Yeah, I was always told stories of Bloody Bones. I was wondering if that had anything to do with these
Bloody
legends
Bones,
around.
Boogeyman.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I grew up in Appalachia,
Where'd you grow up at?
Winchester, Virginia.
Virginia. Wow, that's not too far from here.
I did a movie called Dead Woman's Hollow on the Appalachian Trail.
I watched that one too. It was very good. Yeah.
That was one of my first movies.
When we were all picking movies to watch, I got on Tubi and I was looking, and that's what I chose was the Dead Woman's Hollow.
Yeah, I tried to get a soundbite from that one. That was one of the movies that I tried to get. I was going to have you play this game, but I never could get a good.
We'll have to set it up. I would love to play this. How much fun would that be?
You took a shot. Did you get shot in the head in that one? Is that how you went out on that one?
Yes, but I told them it was my legs because I was hitting that part of my brain where my legs no longer work.
Well, yeah, because you were just laying there. I just took it. You took a shot in the head, and you was just kind of tough. You was just laying there until you faded out. But that was one of the sound bites I tried to get, man. It makes me mad that it didn't work out like that because that would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been cool, man.
Yeah, it would have.
We can make it work, Corky. I got an idea for how we can do that. We'll do it sometime. That'll be fun.
Man. Maybe we could ever get her to come back on.
It won't be hard.
You got songs on Spotify. Tell me about that. I was also jamming out to your music the other day. So tell us about that.
So I had always wanted to dabble in music, and I had never really gotten the shot. When I was younger, I used to write songs with my friends, and I was trying to learn to play the guitar. And I just always wanted to accomplish something. So I found a producer and I contacted him and I was like, let's make something together. And we sort of went back and forth, and we decided that about writing a song about falling in love while watching a horror movie in a movie theater. Because what would be better?
Does it get any better than that? That's what I'm saying.
I know.
That's a peak right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did. We made this song together, and then I found another producer who wanted to do. He wanted the video portion of it, and he was like, "Oh, we can just use any song, any public domain." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna write a song, and I'm gonna perform the song, and we're gonna create this together, and then I'll do your video." So I wrote a vampire jazz. It's about a vampire who was turned in during World War II, and she hasn't aged, hasn't changed. She's watched everybody she's ever loved, get old and die, and the last person that she loved got old and died, and she's like, I'm just gonna watch the sunrise now.
Yeah, that's one of the things that stood out to me. First off, you kind of had the I call it 1920s, but it's really like World War II type feel to it, And anybody that knows me and my wife, we are into vampires and stuff like that. Our favorite TV show was The Vampire Diaries and all that good stuff. And so that really stood out to me with that song, and it's very good. You've done a good job on that. So kudos to you on that. Man, I was just trying to figure out what else I want to talk. I could sit here and talk to you all night about this.
The name of the song
kind of
is
stuff.
Vampire Jazz. I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna check that out.
No, what is it? I can't.
I changed the name
it.
a few times. Let me look up what.
It's on Spotify, Daniel. Just search her
Ghost
name.
in the Glass.
Ghost in the Glass.
Right, you got another one that starts with a P, right? What's that one called?
Phobophilia, which is the love of fear.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both good songs, man. Check them out.
Yeah,
put them on the playlist.
I'd love to create some more. I did just perform one. There's a slasher musical, and they sent me the song, and I was like, oh no. I would love to do this, but you're going to use my vocals. And they were like, yeah, all right. So I'm going to have another coming out.
So there's going to be a slasher musical coming out?
Yes, there's a couple horror musicals in my future.
Well, that's going to be cool, man.
I've
I'll
never
sit and
seen a
watch Grease
slasher
all day,
musical.
man.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we're
need to-
going
I
to
need
as
to
soon
get-
as she gets it made.
Right, I need to check that out. My wife's a huge
Um,
fan of musicals, and so
so
I
is
kind of
mine.
like musicals.
Yeah.
So that would be my way to get in. Like we're gonna go see a slasher musical. Like that's what we're gonna do. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I'm
Mel, we've had you here about an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. But I did want to ask you one more thing before we
Of course.
let you go. My wife and I know Daniel's wife are all into these books. You know how ladies are these days. And I noticed you do
Myself
some
included.
some audiobook narrating.
Yes.
Tell me what that's like, man, because I know when we're at work, Audible all day long, listening to books
Oh,
and stuff
good.
like
They
that.
probably heard me then.
Yeah, so I
Okay,
know you
so-
done the vampire. What's the vampire one? The series you done?
Coven Cove. That one
Yeah.
is hugely popular.
Yeah, so I'm going to be telling my wife about that as soon as, because I'm going to say I just interviewed the lady that read that, so you know that's going to
That's
be
so
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Coven Cove
That's cool,
is
man.
crazy popular. I can actually look up how many audiobooks it sold. No, I can't speak for sales overview. So I love narrating. The complete set, I have sold over 600 books. And that's
awesome.
just the complete set. That's not
That's
the
impressive.
individual.
Wow.
That's
It's
awesome.
a lot.
And wasn't there another set you something about vampire? It wasn't Vampire Diaries.
The
but it
Vampire
was
Hunter's Diaries.
Vampire Hunter's Diaries. Yeah. Now I've looked at that one before I even knew you was the narrator. So
Yeah.
I'll probably be checking that one out too.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, I
That's
sell a
cool.
lot of Coven Cove. People love Coven Cove.
Coven Cove. I will definitely be telling my wife about that as soon as the show's over.
I would need so many
Oh.
takes doing an audiobook. I feel like I would.
Oh,
stumble.
look, I can't
Oh,
even
yeah,
read a
there's no
paragraph
way.
getting the show
There's no
started.
way I could do
Corky,
it.
you need to do like a Southern audiobook, man. You would kill it.
I'm
You would-
mistaken. I sold 600 copies of the full set this month.
Wow.
You're killing it.
Oh yeah.
That's so
I
sick.
have
Somebody's
sold-
making money
That's
around here.
cool.
Let's get it, Mel.
I've sold
Nice.
almost 9,000.
Whoa,
Wow.
man.
All right.
And that's of
That's
the
what I'm-
entire series. People love Coven Cove. It's a really good series.
How many books are in
Well,
the
I'm gonna
series?
check that out. How many
I
books
I
are in
believe
that
it's
series?
7.
7 books.
7?
Wow,
Mhm.
that's crazy.
That's cool.
Okay. Well,
So,
I'm gonna
guys,
check
does
is
out
there
that for sure.
But before we let you go, and I do want to be respectful of your time too, I just had 2 very general questions.
Of course.
You know, Corky and I we've always been into horror movies. And in this podcast, you know, we take a horror movie and we review it and break it down. And so I was wondering, like, what is your favorite genre of movies? Are you into horror movies as well? Is that kind of where
Oh,
you
yeah.
gravitate? Or, you know, are
I
you into
love horror.
something else? Okay.
I love horror. I don't I mean I have a child, so I'm stuck between Disney and horror
Right,
movies.
right.
Oh, ain't,
Okay.
ain't we
I'm
all,
with you.
man?
But he actually watches some of my friends' horror movies like the 31 Kills of Halloween. He'll watch that one with me because it's family friendly.
Oh,
But
yeah.
my kind of movies, I really love creature features. I love zombievers. I love
Amen.
gosh, anything with like a spooky monster. And
Okay.
you know, even I know Scooby Doo isn't horror, but
It's horror
kind
to
of
me.
translates.
Oh man,
It
I watched
translates
Scooby
similarly.
Doo.
Scooby Doo is amazing.
My whole
That's
childhood.
where it starts
yeah.
for everybody is Scooby-Doo, you know.
Yeah. So I love
And-
anything with like a creepy monster.
and Goosebumps.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
guess that's
Goosebumps.
And one.
And so
one
I guess
question
the
I
other
wanted to ask-
general question. I'm sorry, Bryson. Go ahead.
Well, no, you're good. So with practical effects, I know that that's a huge thing with horror, and sometimes a mistake can actually be what made the practical effect what it was. Like with Kevin Bacon in Friday the 13th Part 1, the blood shot way farther than they meant for it to, but they kept it in because of how good it looked on film. Is there like a moment that you've been a part of a practical effect and maybe it didn't go as planned, or there was something just really cool or unique that happened with it? Even if it went the way it was supposed to, just something that like stuck with you on a really cool practical effect moment.
That's a really good one.
That's why he's the professor.
He
That's
is.
right. He's deep.
I
He is
remember
deep.
there was one time when I was getting made up into a zombie mermaid.
Oh,
I
dang.
think, and I can't remember if this was planned for or not because this has been 15-ish or so years ago. Um, the effects artist, I don't know if he brought a bag of trash on purpose or if he accidentally left the stuff that he had intended at home, but he had like this piece of a bucket which he dremeled and turned into a rib bone, and then there was like this piece of a grocery bag which he took a heat gun to and turned into like creepy skin, and it just all really came together, and I was really just mind blown because I really expected it all to be pieces from molds and, like all these finished pieces getting ready to go on me, like the face prosthetic and everything being very purposeful. And he was just sort of like, we can use this, we can use that. And he just made it look amazing. And I don't know if that was the original intention, but I was blown away.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
That's
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Guys, before we let her go, do you guys got anything else you want to add before we let her go?
Okay.
I might be left.
So, what music are you into? That was my other question.
Oh, that's a
Um,
good question.
I really
I
like
am a
all kinds of
metalhead
classic
myself.
rock.
Classic rock. Okay, so when you say
Yeah, I
classic
like
rock,
Journey and
okay, all right. So
Journey and
I was
Led
going to make
Zeppelin
sure
and
that, so
Bad
that's what I
Company.
was going with. So when most people say classic rock, depending on the age of the person, because I've heard, especially a lot of the younger generation, they say, "Oh yeah, classic rock," and I'm going, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Oh yeah, like Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and Alice in
Bush.
Chains," and I'm going, "Dude."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, it's not so much classic rock, it's divorced dad rock." And I'm going,
Yeah,
"What?
I'm into
genre
Creed
is
and
this?"
Nickelback.
Don't
Yeah,
hate on
so-
my generation, Daniel.
So
Don't do it.
it's funny, but yes, your definition of classic rock is my
That's classic
definition
rock.
of classic rock
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So classic
Yeah.
rock to me is Led Zeppelin and bands that you named. So yeah, that's good. Cool. Good deal.
Mel, would you just tell us where we can find you, where we can buy your books, anything you want to let us get out there for you? We'd be happy to do it.
I'm across the internet at Mel Heflin. I make it super easy to be found. MELHEFLIN. And my link tree is connected to my Facebook page and my Instagram.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
I want to thank you again for having this conversation with us tonight. It's I've really enjoyed it, and I could keep
Me
you here for
too.
2 more hours, but we definitely want to be respectful of your time. So thank you very
I'll just
much
have
for
to
coming
come
on.
back and then we can play that game.
We will do
I'll
it.
tell you
I
what,
will
if
make
you-
it work.
If you promise you'll come back, we'll
Yes.
do the game. I promise you.
You can
I
even
can
join
promise
us
I'll be
for a
back.
movie review.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. That
would be
look.
really fun.
All right, we'll
Awesome,
set that
yeah.
up. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks, Mel Heflin, for gracing us with your presence tonight, and we'll see everybody next week. See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Yo, we rolling deep, let's dive into the fray. Hit that play button, we review every bite. From horror flicks that give you chills at night, to games that thrill, yeah, we get it right. Remember that, step back, hold tight. We'll dissect every scare, keep the vibe right. Remember that, we're here to expose the thrills, the chills where the dark wind blows. From pixels on screens to the sound that glows. Join us forever, that's how the story goes.